Introducing Your Media, your podcast network that meets you where you are, when you need it, at your time, in your space, when you feel like it. You come first. Your Media, where you are. With every moment, you are creating an impression. Make sure it's an impression by design. This is the Transcript with Tshiamo.
And just like that, you heard it from the voice itself. You are tuned in to the Transcript with me, Tshiamo. Welcome to another episode or installment of the Transcript. Today's episode is titled The Preconception of Perfection. And before I introduce my guest, I just wanted to touch on a bit as to why this topic is so relevant to me and why I had this particular guest in studio. For, I think, living in the times we live in now, you know, with Instagram and all of this, everyone is just so obsessed with perfection. And everyone wants to be the it girl, or everyone wants to be something of value, or wants to be seeking validation outside of themselves. And a journey that I have had to do this year as well myself is to find that validation within myself, to say, even if you don't like my pictures, I like my pictures. You know, I like who I am, or I am who I am because I just am. And I think when I was sitting down and I'm thinking who would be pivotal to have this conversation with, I thought of current reigning Miss South Africa, Shudufhadzo, right? Yes. Your surname, I'm trying to say it with properly. Musida. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, joined in studio by current reigning Miss South Africa, Shudufhadzo Musida.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And how are you?
I'm good, thanks. So, as I said, you know, the topic for today, or the discussion I want to have with you, is purely based on the preconception of perfection. You know, how people just think it's some certain way, like there's a mold. You know, and I thought to myself, how have you gone about finding who you are within the title, within the country, within just your friends, your peers, and just you as a person individually?
I think it was a long process, but I think when I decided that self-love and taking care of myself, being selfish with myself, is equally as important as my passion to give and to be of service to others. How can you be of service to others if you can't be of service to yourself? So sometimes we extend grace and kindness to others, but we can't extend it to ourselves. So it's about blocking out the noise, not taking anything personally, the good and the bad, from the outside world, and using yourself as a compass to where you're supposed to be. So for me, finding myself and within those spaces and breaking out of the mold of preconceived notions of perfection, for me, I think I was around 21, yeah, when I just decided being happy is what makes me the person that I am. Trying to seek validation from other people really does not serve me.
That's deep. At 21, I mean, at 21, people are just partying and it's nice times and vibes. But I think maybe let's roll it back a bit. Let's go to maybe who Shudu is, where Shudu is from. Let's start there.
Shudufhadzo, Abi, as my family knows me, is someone that grew up in a small village in Namasia in Limpopo. It was the happiest time of my life, and yeah, when I lived in the village, I was very extroverted, and then when I moved, I became very introverted, and I've been the same ever since. But yeah, I'm just a person that is passionate about helping. I'm passionate about being of service. I'm passionate about philanthropy and humanitarian assistance, but then making sure that the people that are getting humanitarian assistance are active participants of the change that they want to see. I am.
That is deep. That is deep. Can you say that again?
So I'm very passionate about making sure that people are active participants of the change that they want to see. I think more often than not, you find that we give help, we go and donate, we go and do these things, but no one is really equipping people with the necessary skills that they need in order to become agents of their own future. So that became a passion for me, and I ended up studying philosophy, politics, and economics, and I graduated with that. And then I decided to pursue my honors in international relations, focusing on human security, the human security implications. In my thesis, it was the human security implications of hydropower, because that is another pivotal thing for me, where you find that when there's, for example, the hydropower in the DRC, which was one of my focuses, you find that the local actors are the last people to benefit from the developments that happen in the country. So I became very passionate about that. And yeah, I'm just a very down-to-earth, sometimes nerdy person.
I want to go back to, as you said, your time, you grew up in the village. And again, take into context the conversation, is when somebody hears village, they think like there's not currently, if you tell a child you go into the village, they're just like, there's no Wi-Fi, there's not. But I am assuming when you were born 96, right? 96. So there were things already happening and stuff. But how was it? Like, what are the fondest memories that you have of growing up in the village?
I think just the love. I mean, for the first 4 years of my life, I think it was the first 4 years of my life. I'm not sure. But we had a hut where everyone was staying there. And then my aunt, luckily, she got a job, and my uncle got a job, and they decided to build this beautiful home where not only us, the family members, could stay in, but if you need help or you need food, you can just come in and my aunt will make you food, and then she'll bathe you, and then you go about your day. So that was, for me, I know that people think that, but there's so much love in the village because everything is so simple. You value less material things because you don't have them, and you learn to value people. We are relational beings by nature. So you get to satisfy that side of yourself, suffice it, and make sure that you actually build real connections where you can sit for hours just talking without even looking at your phone. So life was much simpler then. And I loved it. I loved it so much. I really, really loved it. And every single time when I go back home, I just sit outside with my grandfather and we just sit under the stars for the longest time, just having conversations. And for me, that just reminds me of how joy is so simple to attain, but we search for it in other things. Yeah.
This is just to read, you said something now and you answered my question, because I was coming up to say that would you agree that people who have nothing to give but love, like if you have no physical cash or anything, they give the purest form of love?
I think I would, based on my time in the village. I think I would, because I was raised to know that, or to look at life in the sense that you treat people with respect and kindness, irrespective of the status and the material things that they have. So I was raised without material things, so all I had to offer was myself. And that's all I keep on offering, because that's what I was taught. So I do think there's so much more love when we focus on the individuals and not the things that they have. Yeah.
And what if you had to, define love, how would you best define love to you? What does love mean to you?
What does love mean to me? If I had to describe it, I'm very much, I believe in the higher power. For me, love is that unconditionality, like between you and God. And then everything else is an extension of Him with other people. So the love that you give is the purest love that there is. For me, love means the purest kindness, the purest self that you have to offer. It means not hiding yourself in any way. When you are in a place that is filled with love, all you have to offer is yourself. So love is not a burden. Like, it's not burdening. It doesn't feel like an act. It just feels like you being your best self. It brings out the best side of you. And that's what love means to me, the best side of me.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. So now you've moved from the village into now suburbia, and you mentioned that you were an extrovert in the village, but when you moved to the side, became an introvert and have stayed that way. What was the deciding factor, or what led you to that? Like, when did you realize this is no longer familiar territories? Or
when I was living in the village, I was like a performer. I loved singing, dancing. Like I was that person where people would come and watch. Like it was an amazing time.
No, Lala Jamil.
I used to love that. And then, I actually had a dream to go to Jamali and sing the Whitney song. And I'm not afraid to try. Remember when they used to sing it on the show? Yeah. So
Can you give us a note?
I'll think about it. My manager always tells me I'm always quick to sing, so I'm gonna try and hold it in for like at least 5 minutes.
I mean, if you can sing, honey, sing.
But let me answer your question. And then when I moved to Mpumalanga when I was 9, it was a different territory where I could not, like the people weren't as nice as I'd hoped. Because in the village, everyone, like I said, it's not about material. Everyone is accepting of one another. We're all equal. We're all the same. And if you don't speak the same language, because my village was very much close to a Tsonga village, so it's almost like when you don't speak the same language, you find middle ground until you get to a point where you understand each other. Because naturally you get, But this side, it was like in Mpumalanga, it was different. Like not everyone was as nice as expected. I was no longer that person who could just burst out into song and start dancing. I had to basically dumb myself down in order to fit in, And like the things for me, like I've just always been a carefree person. So just brush my hair. Like I don't try to make it look, I just brush it and just as long as it looks presentable. That was me. Like I was a tomboy. And then you have people making fun of you for that, like, making fun of things that you can't change about yourself. And then you get to a point where it's almost like the more you pour out of yourself, the more you have nothing left because it's not being receptive. Like I said, we're relational beings. So in as much as you may give without expecting anything in return, inherently we are selfish beings. There's always something that you expect in return. So when you give kindness, part of you is expecting it back, So as a child, when that's not happening, eventually you have nothing else to give, and then you just have to basically look out for number one, yourself, because you constantly have to show up. So for me, that was the turning point where I realized that at that time, the only friend I had was myself. So I learned to build a relationship with myself. I learned to become my own best friend. I learned to actually just enjoy my own company, And then before I knew it, this is from like 9 until like 15. So those are the formative years. So before I knew it, I was just this introvert, like who just enjoyed being by herself, doesn't really talk much. But when she gets super comfortable, like you get to see like that village girl that I was telling you guys about. But yeah, like I just had to adapt. It was more about adapting, and then eventually that became a part of my personality.
I love the story because you're saying, what people are only doing now. Like now, I think everyone's moving on to the whole do the work, find yourself and whatever. And for you, you're fortunate enough. Well, at the time, obviously because of circumstance, but it gave you that opportunity to find yourself at a young stage, especially during the ages of 9 and 15 when, people are influenced by a wide range of things. So for me, I think that is quite deep because then your foundation is solid. Like you know who you are and you can't be shaken, which is beautiful. So now, I want to understand, you mentioned Tshiamo, you mentioned singing. Miss South Africa, when does that come in? Was it the village girl or was it the Mpumalanga girl?
Ever since I was 9, I had this prayer where I would say, Dear God, let me stand on stage and use my voice and touch the hearts of millions. I've always thought that me touching the hearts of millions was through song, right? Love it dearly. But Miss South Africa is also that platform where you can touch the heart of millions just by using your voice. What you say becomes amplified. Your voice becomes amplified. We always have a voice. But it becomes amplified when you're given a stage like that, a stage where you're a woman, you put on this pedestal where people expect one thing, but you get to show another side, the diversity, the multifacetedness of a woman. So for me, the Miss South Africa stage, when I was watching it, I started watching it again recently. I actually hadn't watched it in so many years. So I actually watched Miss Universe. And then Zosie said, see your face reflected in mine. For the first time, because I told you I don't didn't come to here, love it, but I don't know how to take care of it. I'm bad at it. So I see this woman who has short hair standing on that stage and still beautiful, still being embraced, still making her mark. But it's not even about how she looks, it's about what she's saying. That statement changed everything, you know. And then my friend, literally that same day, my friend was like, she posted a picture of me saying Miss South Africa 2020. This was December. The day Zosie won. My friend said Miss South Africa 2020.
No ways.
I have a screenshot on my phone, but I don't know where to find. But I have a screenshot from December 2019 when Zosie won Miss Universe. 1st Jan comes and I say I want to enter Miss South Africa. So for me, the platform of Miss South Africa is just about basically amplifying my voice. Mm-hmm. There's so much that you can say. There's so much that you can do. You can actually change the world just by saying something, by making a statement. So I wrote in my diary on the 1st of Jan 2020, I enter Miss South Africa, start Miss SA work. And then I entered. When I had to enter, I was very nervous because we had to do videos. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm putting myself out there. I've got stage fright. Now I have to do a video. If I fail publicly, which goes back to what you were saying, where we are too scared to fail publicly because the world expects perfection. You know? 100%. So for me, before I entered, I went for about a month. I was just contemplating. I'm like, if I record this video, what if I speak funny? What if I do this? What if I do that? What if I lose and people see me lose in public? I've always been a person that kept to myself. So the victories, the failures, I've always kept them to myself too, because that's me. That's my sacred space. But now I have to do it out in public. I remember I took the video. It wasn't as long as the other videos I'd seen. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have nothing to say. They're asking me who I am. They're asking all these things. I have nothing to say except I can only offer myself. My sister took the video of me and then I sent it to 3 or 4 of my friends. I sent them 3 different variations and then I sent it to them and then they helped me pick one. I entered. But before I pressed post, the last thing I said was, what do I have to lose? Little did I know that I had everything to gain.
But isn't it beautiful how fear has a way of crippling a person, and at the same time, once you've let go of that, builds you. Like you sit down and you go, what was I afraid of? Because even if you did fail, so what? You tried. And if you're saying I was going to lose in front of so many people, there's an even bigger amount of people who didn't even have that courage to do the first, to sit in front of a camera. I, for one, anything that's asked of me to record, don't ask me to send in no. Okay, don't do that. I find it, and for me it's just but why? I've always believed that I am great. I feel like I'm a star. I'm phenomenal. I'm one of a kind. And I remember in high school, I had this friend called, well, he wasn't a friend. He was just a guy I know. His name was PH. And he used to say to me, you treat yourself like you're this star. You are just, you're always on point and whatever. And I'm not here. I'm there, And for me, it's just always been the ability to just then know that even if in my times of trouble, there's a bigger purpose, and fear has a way of just crippling us and just making you feel like batloring, you know what I mean? And I think it's very important that you, even if you fail forward, and when dealing with perfection, it's just failure is perfection. Because in the destroying of something, gold has to be put through fire before it can, shine or glitter diamond is found underground in the dust. You know what I mean? So I think as humans, we don't want to take into consideration what nature does. Like, you know, we don't want, we want to be the diamond on the hand, the finished product, but don't want to first start underground in the soil, you know? So that's, look, it's beautiful. And I love your prayer. By the way, I love your prayer.
Thank you.
So you're giving me so much gems, and I'm just like, I don't know where to start and where to. Firstly, you're beautiful. So looking at you, I'm like, you're beautiful.
Thank you.
When you entered, you know, and now this is going to sound contradictory, were you not afraid of people who would say you're trying to be Zozi?
No. No, because we are so different. We are so different. For me, it was never a thought in my mind. Because I was, obviously, like you think to yourself, what are the chances of a girl with short hair winning again?
100%.
Right? But for me, that moment was bigger than just me entering. For me, that was me getting over a fear that I've had for the longest time. The fear of living. Because you're too scared to fail, you know. So you do things, you keep it safe and all that kind of stuff because you're too scared to fail. For the first time, I'm saying, fine, if I fail, I'm going to fail, right? But I'm also going to be failing in public. So that moment right there is about me, you know. And then everything else comes afterwards, like when you start thinking, okay, what are the... Now you've entered, now you start thinking about possibilities and probabilities and all that kind of stuff. But for me, that moment was just purely me getting over the fear of living. So in as much as... Because even me entering, she was a huge inspiration. Like, she was such a huge inspiration, and she still is. She still is such a huge inspiration. But for me, in that moment, it was just about getting to a point where I do something that terrifies me, but has the potential to make me so happy. Yeah.
And did you not click like the prayer you said, you know, give me the stage? Did you not realize that is the stage? Because I mean, most of the time, and this is something I've also realized, is we pray, we ask God for something. We'll ask God for a car, right? And we're looking at just getting that small task. But because God is such an abundant God, you know, he what you're looking at as a task, he's looking at the Bentley. He's like, I've got the Bentley for you. But because we're so focused on, you know, for you, probably, maybe, I'm assuming, was just singing. You never really thought the stage could just be your presence, your being.
I think for me, I only realized that the stage is where I'm at now, right? But the stage has always been there, like you're saying. I just had to step up and walk to it. I believe that every single person's life is different, and it's their own movie. We are directors of our own movies, and there's a will, there's a script, there's destiny that's going to help the movie unfold the way that it's supposed to. So I didn't realize it then because I didn't realize what was happening. All the prayers that I had prayed since I was 9 have come true and are coming true. And I'm so blessed to say that right now I'm literally living out my prayers, but even more than what I expected. But I still get to dream as much as I want to do. Like, I can still sing if I want to, you know. But like right now where I am has fulfilled me so much and has made me so content because I still get to be on that stage. Yes, you know. But it's not the stage that I expected, but then it's the perfect stage. But there are going to be different stages in life. I'm not going to stay in one stage. You know? There's going to be different stages in life. It's just about you as the individual showing up and being the director of your own movie and portraying the best side of yourself at all times. Showing up for yourself, basically, before you show up for others. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I wrote that down. You know, I'm living out my prayers because I think that's what faith is. You pray, you let it go.
Yeah.
And when it manifests is only when it clicks. That's when the gratitude comes in to say, this is what I prayed for. You know, and most people tend to not take that time to just sit and give thanks. Like, this is I prayed for this, and I feel like there's nothing wrong. There's arrogance, but there's also that confidence that says, but I did pray for this, so yes, it should happen the way it is happening.
And you find yourself getting to a point where you're happier and feeling deserving of whatever you have, because a lot of people struggle with being in a good place or getting so many blessings but feeling like they're not deserving. But when you come from a place of gratitude, like I said, I'm living my prayers. You remember all the times that you prayed. You remember all the times that you cried to God. You remember every single time, and you realize that it was not easy. But you had to trust. You had to trust the process. You had to trust that there's a higher power that is working for your good. You manifesting, don't ever underestimate manifesting, because you can be sitting from a place where you have nothing. Mind you, I was dreaming about these things when I lived in the village, sitting on the floor, dusty feet, because we were playing around in outside, like I was dreaming dreams that were bigger than me. I was dreaming about places like New York when I was but I've never even left Limpopo. So my thing is it's just, I feel like always come from a place of gratitude at all times, because then you get to realize what's in front of you. You smell the roses. But if you don't do that, you're going to be looking way beyond. And I was very much guilty of that. Where you pray, you get your prayer, or you get your blessings, but you don't even see that you got it, because you're constantly trying to move to the next one, trying to top it. How do I top it? And that also comes from outside pressure. How do I top it so you can constantly get that validation? I remember it was April 2017. Yeah, April 2017. I was looking through British Vogue. I was one of the only 2 black people in that magazine. I remember.
First, can we just give props that you're actually in a Vogue magazine?
Yeah, I was in British Vogue for a campaign that I did, and I remember when I saw it, my friend sent me the thing. I was like, "Wait, what? Me in British Vogue?" Because I knew that I did work for an international client, but I didn't think it would end up in Vogue. I go and buy the magazine. I'm looking through. I'm the only African model there, but I'm one of the 2 people of color in that magazine. I didn't realize what a huge accomplishment that was. I remember I cried. I was happy, but in less than 10 minutes, I'm like, "What's next? How do we top this? How do we top this?" And that's how I constantly live my life. How do I top this? How do I top this? And then I realized that, listen, relax. Rest. Just focus on being happy. That day when I found out, I should have gone out and had the time of my life. I should have danced the night. I should have just enjoyed it, even had a gathering with me and my friends celebrating it. But I didn't. I just said, what's next? Because for me, it was just about topping, not even topping myself, but topping whatever achievement that I got in order to validate some part of myself. But when you come from a place of gratitude, you learn to even appreciate waking up. And that's a blessing in itself.
So what is self-validation to you? Or how would you best describe it?
Self-love. When you love yourself, even on the worst days, you'll look in the mirror and find something to be grateful for. It can be something as simple as waking up and you're feeling so bad, and then you find parts of yourself that you love. Walking in the kitchen, or maybe you cook something. Give yourself dap. It's you saying that I'm good enough. It's you saying that I am powerful. It's you saying that I am beautiful. It's you looking in yourself in the mirror and saying, "I love you" 3 times.
I did that growing up, hey. I think that, I believe that is very important to install in a child, is to wake up, first thing you do in the morning. And nowadays people wake up and check their phones. But growing up, I used to wake up, jump into the mirror, look in front of the mirror and just say, "I love you, you're amazing." And continue. And every day I did it. And at some point, your confidence just is elevated. You take that small little exercise is building your confidence muscle. Because then I feel like I am where I am today, and I cannot be shaken by other things because I did that. I'm affirmed within my skin and my being.
And even when outside forces come in, or other people come in, when they come and tell you otherwise, it doesn't sit right with you, not because you're angry, because it's not true.
If I had claps, snaps.
No, because it's not true. So you even get uncomfortable when someone treats you less than what you deserve. You even get uncomfortable when someone talks to you sideways. You get uncomfortable when things aren't coming from a place of kindness and respect and love, because those are the things that you afford yourself. So you basically lay the foundation of how everyone else must come. They must come correct, because this is what I do for myself.
For yourself.
If you can't do it for me, be it friendships, family, anyone, just it doesn't work. It doesn't, like, you just can't accept it. It sounds like a foreign concept to you because it's just simply not true. It's not right.
And how have you handled, now you've received the title and everything, but now you've got all this, your platform is huge. Now you're on the stage that you've prayed for. But obviously where there's good, there's bad. And now these voices are coming, and I'm assuming even like the treatment you get in your family is no longer the same. Like, it's just like, but like, you know what I mean? How did you handle that, where people have now placed you as this perfect being?
I've always had boundaries, even before I won. So even with family, friends, everyone, I have always had boundaries. So it's very hard for people to treat me differently because the boundaries have always been in place. Meaning you can't act too nice, or you can't, because I've always said boundaries. Even with life in general, I have my boundaries. Like, I know this is work, this is personal. And with friends and family, they still treat me the same because I've just genuinely always said boundaries, and they're still in place. So nothing has changed in that regard. Obviously, sometimes people check on you more because you're constantly in the public eye, so they constantly remember, oh yeah. But other than that, nothing really much has changed. In terms of like public side, I think you receive a lot more attention because you do have the stage now. And then you get to realize how much your voice matters, how much the platform matters, so it's a constant recycling of gratitude, because with every single person that comes towards you or comes to you, you see why this is needed, but you also see how everything has manifested to be what it is now. So that voice that you have, it extends even when you're quiet. So even when you're quiet, the voice is still there. If that makes sense. So people come to you and say, I heard you on Mindful Mondays and you said this and this and this and that. It helped me because I decided to do this and this and this and that. But those are, like I said, we're directors of our own lives. But those are decisions that can make or break a person. But to know that your voice or what you did in trying to be of service, because my ultimate goal is to be of service. So in trying to be of service, you actually were of service. It's very fulfilling. It's very, very fulfilling.
So we're getting close to wrapping up, and I've got this segment called The Gag Is.
Okay.
And what the gag is literally the one thing that people like, what's the most misconceived thing about you. So this is your platform to say, actually, like, if people thought, I don't know, you shave your hair because you don't have hair, this is your platform to say, to correct it. So I'm just going to play the jingle.
The gag is.
This is a hard one. The gag is, people think I cut my hair because of some deep, meaningful reason. I just had 100 rand in my pocket and I was coming from the gym to do my hair the next day, so I cut it.
Oh, wow. You was like, actually.
No, I was literally coming from the gym and I was like, and my hair was looking a mess because it's always looking a mess. So I was like, nah. And it was an afro at the time. You know how hard an afro is to manage.
Can we, one day we need to discuss how much of a lie this natural hair thing is, because everyone's just like, oh no, good natural, oh no chemicals.
The thing is, once you get it right, it's beautiful. But the twisting,
the work, sleep, babe,
the conditioning, the washing, the air drying, not even like keeping heat away from. I'm just like,
no.
So I had an afro, and every single time I had to go to a shoot, I had to twist it and do it, and I'm just like, no, I'm lazy. So after that, I was coming from the gym, I was looking a mess. I'm like, because my mom had short hair for the longest time, so I was like, Anyway, I get into the salon. My hairstylist goes like, so what are we doing today? Do I have braids? Must we treat it? I'm like, no, shave it all off. She's like, all off?
Yeah, I think I would also be like,
I'm like, okay, fine, let's compromise. Because we
say all, do you mean like half?
And she's been helping me grow my hair, so I was like, okay, fine, compromise. and then we just did like a haircut, like what do you call this? The Tony Braxton bob.
Oh yeah, pixie.
A pixie. So we just did a pixie, and then I was like, I can't even maintain this. And then eventually I just cut it, and then it was like short for the longest time. And then I decided in 2015, cut it all off, like Chiskop, done. And then I was like, oh my God, okay, yeah. And then I've been doing it ever since. I grow my hair, and it's an afro, and then eventually I cut it. I literally just grow my hair to do like cornrows because I like cornrows.
And then after we're back to regular
programming, and I love cutting my hair. It's so therapeutic.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Because there's that saying, a woman who cuts her hair changes her life.
No, I love cutting my hair. Hearing that razor thing buzzing, I'm just like, and watching it fall away. There's something very metaphorical and very like poetic about it, like watching the hair fall away. It's weird. Like you just look at it and it feels so good. Yeah.
So I'm obsessed with hair. I love hair. I love hair. Like I love, that song, I'm Not My Hair?
Yeah.
Totally opposite. I love my hair. I am my hair. So last year I had to cut my hair and I had to sit down. Like I prepped for a week. I was like, oh no. I cried about it and whatever. And the one day my friend's brother was cutting his hair and I said, you know what? Do it. And he's like, are you sure? I'm like, you've got 10 seconds to put that blade on this hair. Like if you don't just do that whole one time, we're never going to do this. But I found that man. You're just like, no, man. Like, yes, we have wigs, but no, definitely.
No, I like literally you get those moments. Like as of late, there's times where, with having like no hair, sometimes it gets boring because you're just like, I wish I could do this.
100%.
Because you have a look in your head that works with like.
Do you wear wigs though?
I have wigs, but again, me and maintaining hair, like treating it, conditioning it, making sure that it looks beautiful. I have a wig. Actually, dyed it red for my birthday last year. Like I like them. It's just that maintenance with me is just like it's something. Like it's really not a thing for me. I really want the Naomi Campbell inches, but I know
and you've got the height, so
and I really like it. So for me, it's like okay, I could do that. But in terms of maintenance, if someone could teach me how to maintain hair, I'd probably have a lot of wigs.
Like wigs, because I can teach you to maintain a wig.
Can you?
That I can do.
Okay, but I would like to still keep my bald head because some days I look at myself when you look at yourself, you're like, yeah.
No, but if I was you, I'd definitely.
But it's been happening a lot as of late because I've been in a place of super gratitude all the time. It can be something as simple as playing a song and dancing around the house. I'll do it. So sometimes I just look in the mirror because there's this life coach that we see, Yvonne. She's like, look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you 3 times. But the more you do that, you start finding little things. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty.
Definitely.
And then by the time you leave the house, you feel like the best person ever.
Definitely.
So those affirmations and those little things, I'm liking it, especially now that I'm saying it with my bald hair.
And can I tell you, it shines because I'm looking at you I cannot, I'm sure you probably feeling uncomfortable because I'm looking at you, I'm like, this girl is
thank you.
You are stunning.
Thank you so much.
Really absolutely beautiful. And I think I want to ask this question. You've got the title, you are beautiful, you have the body, and your body's phenomenal.
Thank you.
How is it, do you get approached by guys or how is it? Because I've been told I've got a resting, so how is it for you? Because I'm just like.
It's weird. It's weird. Because there's that thing that she's Miss South Africa, but I'm the type of in as much as I've got the title, I'm still the same person, so when people approach me with that, I'm just like, okay, cool. But it's not the same. It's not the same. It's really not. Because you always have to think about whether or not this person is here for you or if they're here because you're Miss South Africa. But I do get approached, but I'm still focusing. I'm focusing on this is the year of me, the year of me, just being happy with myself, being happy with just being, sometimes just waking up on a Sunday, waking up at sometimes I wake up at 5 for some reason.
What do you mean 5? PM.
No, AM.
Oh, I was gonna be like, girl.
No, I wake up at 5 and then I'll make myself some green tea, paint, play some music, and just enjoy myself. And I can do that for 6 hours, and then when I'm done, make myself a nice meal, watch something great. Those are little things that I'm starting to appreciate. Like play a song. I'm not the greatest dancer, but in my own home, I'm the best one. Like I eventually just start. Yeah, I'm just enjoying this being the year of me. In as much as I do get approached, this is the year of me.
So what would you say is your perception of perfection?
My perception of perfection. Perfection is the self. Like the perception of perfection is the self. I don't think perfection really exists, but then if we had to quantify it, I'd quantify it where you're at a point where spiritually, emotionally, and how you see yourself and how much you love yourself, that contentment that comes with gratitude, that contentment that comes with self-love, for me, that would be perfection, because there's no greater perfection than joy. Being happy is the ultimate goal. I feel like should be the ultimate goal for everyone, because when you're happy, everything else just seems to fall in line. The universe literally works in your favor because you're choosing positivity, So for me, perfection has to be joy, and joy comes from self-love and just self-contentment. So I would, if I had to quantify perfection, even though it doesn't exist, I would quantify it and measure it up to joy, having joy with yourself.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, last segment and we're wrapping. So the last segment is called From My Lips to Your Ears. Now, the reason why I called this show The Transcript is because, and I love that you use the analogy of life being a movie, is before. So my idea is life is a book. So a transcript is obviously like if you and I were sitting now, I'd be taking all the notes, and that would be the transcript of your menus, like a manuscript, right? And in a book, there's a forward, there's, a conclusion, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So this part is your dear reader or dear person. So from your lips to their ears, what is the one thing you'd want them to know?
About me, or just
in life? I think it's basically you saying, you could say, I don't know, whatever thing that has kept you going. Okay. Whatever your mantra is.
From my lips to your ears.
Dear reader, you're enough. That's literally what's kept me going. You're enough. I think we don't say that to ourselves enough. Yeah. Dear reader, you are enough.
That's beautiful. And how has that played out with you? Like
in every single facet of my life. I think sometimes, even with South Africa, you ask yourself, am I enough? Am I good enough for this? Can I achieve this? Can I do this? But then that's not only in those spaces, in our personal lives too. You find yourself asking yourself, are you enough? And as someone that has gone through bullying and all that kind of stuff, the thought of being enough has never been at the forefront of my mind. I always felt like I had to fit in. I always felt like I had to be a certain way, dress a certain way. And then I realized that no, I am enough. What makes me happy is enough. And if you can't accept that, then bye.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And with that said, we have come to the end of our conversation.
I was actually really enjoying it.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it too. As I said, for me, that this topic or this conversation is one that I wanted to have with someone who actually is perceived to be the epitome of perfection. And the reason behind the show even is just so that people can have access to the actual fibers that make you. It's one thing to see, Shudu on stage and with a title or whatever, but you don't know how she got there. You don't know how she keeps getting there every morning? Like, what makes you wake up? What's your challenge? And I think having this platform, that's what I wanted to do for the listener, the viewer, the read, it's just to say to people, this is someone that is of influence, and this is what makes them great. And in order to be at the same level, this is what you should be doing for yourself, So thank you so much for coming. And I hope maybe this could be a part 1 to part 2. You let me know. But yeah, thank you so much. This is quite interesting. Thank you.
No, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks. So yeah, that is the wrap for this week's. Sorry about that. So that is the wrap for this week's The Transcript with me. It's Tshiamo. And before I leave, I just want to say that, in life, the only thing that needs to matter is you. Do you every day and keep it real.